Hello there, it's good to be back. I am Becca, often going by Nightcat or Nightcat's Meow when online. And I know it's been a while since I've done one of these, so welcome back. Your coder kitty has returned. I do apologize for the long delay. The kind of shortened version of it is a massive case of depression and some life situation that took me away for a bit, and I didn't see on the analytics a lot of signs that there were people actually following this. I had started to think it was kind of a pointless thing, but I've started to get a lot more responses from people and a lot more signs that people are actually following this series and trying to learn from it, which is really all I needed to know to come back and do it. Some of you who follow the rest of the videos may actually notice that there's a bit of a different view out there. That's because I've taken over a sim, and the old version of it really sort of fell apart, but I remodeled it into kind of a cyberpunk environment, and I moved my loft here into a building in there. I'll give you a short look outside. My loft is actually there inside that building. It's a 3D modeled building, so from the inside, the outer wall has no rendering whatsoever. So you can see my loft just sort of sits inside here. There we go, back inside. There is actually a way to get in and out and around through that building, and I'm going to actually give you a tutorial on how to make it. It is a sit-based teleport system. What do I mean by that? I mean it is an object that you sit on it, it moves you to a new location, bumps you off, and then puts itself back where it was before. So how are we going to do that? Well, you go to wherever you are, you create, right click, hit create, make a Mark 1 cube. So many of our builds start with the Mark 1 cube. Love the cube. Worship the cube. You make a new script, and you're going to need a couple of things in here. In the state entry, actually I'm not going to need the touch start here. In the state entry, you're going to want to be able to know where it is. This is because that is one of your two sets of target coordinates, places that you will want this box to move to. So we already have it set to say on channel 0, so we're going to add inside there in place of the text, we're going to tell it to make a string out of the result of LL get position. Basically, this is where am I in 3D space? What are the coordinates for where I am in this sim? The other thing you're going to want to do, and this is one of those cases where I don't actually know why this is so important to how the system works, but it is important. You have to specify where on the object you're going to be sitting. So we do that with LL sit target. That was my fault. I put set target instead of sit target. You need to give it a vector, which is any set of 3 numbers here. Now it would be super simple if you could just put 0, 0, 0, but I've tried it, and for some reason that failed. That just won't trigger the next part that we need. So just make it 0.1 on one of those. So 0, 0, and 0.1. Then a target requires a rotation. Rotations in Second Life get a little weird. They actually use 4 coordinates. It gets complicated to follow. It's weird, jiggery pokery math. But you can use a shorthand for we don't care what this is. My apologies there, this one is all caps. 0, rotation. You know you got it right because the text changes colors. That is just a simple shorthand for just no rotation. We just have to give you one, but we don't care what it is. There's something you can use. The other part is you need to have the prim be able to detect if something changed with the changed function. The way this works is anything on the prim changes, this gets called. So we're going to changed, and it needs to have an integer for recording the type of change. And you're going to need a few things in here. The easy way to do this is to establish your 3 variables you're going to need in here. So vector, because we're using the coordinates for positions, so they are vectors. Vector start, vector end, and a key, because you're going to register a specific avatar. Now, the specific avatar is going to be detected by avatar on sit target. Basically, this is whatever avatar detects is sitting on it, that is what this key is. Anytime this runs, if there is no avatar sitting on it, then that is a null key. That's very convenient for the next part. If avi. Basically, that means if this is anything other than a null key. You could actually do it as does not equal null key, but it means the same thing right there, if avi. In this case, you would set region position and do not forget your semicolons. Remember your semicolons. Love your semicolons. I've said it before and I will probably say it again. I cannot keep track of how many times I had just hours of grief over trying to figure out what was wrong when I was learning to code, and all I did was forget a semicolon. So do not forget your semicolons. Then you will unsit. Yes, both the U and the S have to be capitalized. Coding is weird sometimes. Avi. So the first thing it does, if it detects a change, it checks to see if there's an avatar on its set target. If so, then it will execute this. It will move to whatever we're going to set as the end coordinate. We'll set that in a couple minutes. It will then kick the avatar off because it's unsit that key, which we've recorded right here. And then set region position start. That's almost all there is to it. The reason you have to make sure you put region position, that's simple. If you just put set position, if we just had that command, set position has a limit to how far it can move. It cannot move more than 10 meters in a given direction. The problem with that is the start and end may be more than 10 meters away. They could be all the way on the other side of the sim, and that would be a problem. Set region it's an absolute. It has no limit. As long as it's in the same sim, you're good to go. This may be messed up by things, like if a section of a sim that's divided up has a portion that you're not allowed access to, that might be a problem. But if you're allowed to go there on the sim, if it's a valid position on the sim, set region position will take it there. Now we're going to run this. This will give us our set up here, our position. That is our start position. Copy. So start position equals those coordinates. That's just a good Control-C, Control-V for copy paste. Close that, close that. We're going to select this to shift and drag upward, up onto my roof. There we have it up here again. Don't want it to be too far away. In this case, just run it again. And now we have a new coordinate. End. Now since this specific one is the end point, we're actually just going to, for convenience, Control-C to copy that. And start. We just simply reversed which coordinate was which. Close that. Close that. escape to come down. Paste. Now that should mean if I sit on this, it should teleport me up. Oh, what happened here? I am standing in my roof. That is somewhat awkward. And now I'm back down here. Well, I can tell you why that happened, and it's actually relevant to one of the reasons why a set teleport is actually useful as opposed to a regular plain old door, like I've shown you in some previous videos. So to explain that, we're going to make a platform up here so that I can land on it, so that we can finish demonstrating how this works. What did I do? I have lost my object. I'll find it and clean up later. We're going to sit on this. Drops us on our platform, so you see that that works. Sit on this. Drops us back inside. Now, the ones I have normally, if you want it to work like a door, you select it, General. Down here you have a click to touch. We'll change that to click to sit on object. Shows you a slightly different icon when you put your mouse over it. Now it's just a simple click, and it teleports me right up there. Click to sit, teleports back down. We're going to do one last little demonstration with this by inserting sleep 3. There, that'll insert a delay, make it a little easier to follow what's going on. So we'll click it to sit on it. I should have also had a sleep up there. Alright, so we click to sit on it, so we're sitting on the object. The object moves, it kicks us off, and then it drops back down. Now, why did I have to put this platform here? That's directly relevant to why these sit teleports are useful. We're going to do a bit of a demonstration here. That is related to right here. I have a sit teleport here. Takes me outside into the city proper. I'll show you more on that in just a minute. That one's supposed to be secret, that's why it's... You have to click on it, or have to right click and choose set on it. That one's also secured. I'll actually do a lesson on securing these next week. But first off, a brief lesson in why this works. We saw before that my loft sits inside this space here. Now we're going to fly. We try to crash into it. There's physics. But we saw up top, no physics. And that we're inside a just simple mesh object. Now, if I had left this solid, that would have had problems with putting my loft inside it. It would have taken me a lot more prim space on the sim, Those of you who haven't actually tried building in a sim before, prim space is vital. Let me show you. Content. Easier to do it here. Object. I'm at 3,355 out of 5,000 total prim count. Everything has an effective prim count, especially mesh. The more complicated the mesh, the more prim count it takes. A simple building like this clocks in very light. It's a land impact of 2 for all 3 pieces. I say 3 because you have the ceiling part, you have the main building part, and then you have this strange box. I will highlight invisible here. Now you notice this is basically just a very large, regular, hollow cube. Just a big cube with a hole in it that surrounds the building. Well, that's because each part of the building has, under Features, Physics Type, None. Physics Type, None, and the box has Physics Type Prim. That's why things fall through the building. That allows me to move around just fine. Inside it, it's basically just a hologram. It has no physics, which is one thing that also helps make it take up a lower prim count. But the important part is the lack of physics, because that allows me to put rooms inside a solid object. And then I put the box around it so that any space you would have to interact with it, if you crashed a car or a plane or something into it, that there'd be physics there. But inside the barrier of that box, there's no physics. It may as well be empty space. And because you can't see it, it works like empty space. That's how I'm able to put my loft inside this building. So this is a cheap way to save prim counts if you're building an urban environment or a particular building. You can get skyscraper buildings like I have here, make them no physics, set their physics type to none, put a box around them, which has almost no land impact, a land impact of 1, maybe 2, to keep things from just flying through them, and then you can build rooms inside them and use sit teleports to get around. The other thing that it can help you with, I'll show you in just a minute here. Let's go back inside and take my sit teleport down. We just have to take a slight walk through my city here. This door up here will be a prime example. Now, I built the city, but as many of you who've tried to create things in SL know, sometimes the best way is to get pre-made parts and put them together. I bought these tunnels. Now, if I move that door, you see the tunnel wall doesn't really include a door. But I wanted to be able to move between locations here, but the design of the tunnel didn't allow for it. So I created a sit teleport based door. So you click on it and you're just on the other side of the door. By putting another one of those doors in the same rough place on the other side, it's just like going through a door. Anytime where either because of prim efficiency or because you bought a mesh piece for building a sim that just doesn't have a door in a convenient location, you can use this trick to basically put a door wherever you want it, regardless of how the piece is built. And I'll give you another example over here. Let's take this corporate building over here. We have a pre-made parking garage entryway. Then we have the actual building over here with a sit teleport door to take us inside the building. I would have had to do much less efficient construction to put all of that in there, whereas I can, with one prim, put that in there. The other way I can do this is elevators. The elevator just took me to a different floor, where I'm working on a different bit of design. Next week, I was going to talk to you about securing your sit teleport doors. Maybe the week after that, I'll teach you about building one that can go to variable locations. I have one of those in the sim too. But that's it for this week. I'll see you next Tuesday for another round of Coder Kitty Teaches LSL. Yes, I finally have a title for this series. Thank you to all of you who've left comments and other support that tell me that these videos are actually helping people. That's a thing I needed to know. Thank you very much for showing that. And I won't let you down again. So, good week, good luck, happy coding.